Imagine coming home to find every single thing you own sitting on the curb. That's what happened to a 21-year-old whose mom kicked him out with zero warning. Why? His dad crashed his car, and when the parents paid for repairs, the mom demanded the son pay her back. He said no because he didn't cause the accident. And then, boxes on the street. You're gonna want to hear how this spirals. Okay, so here's how it started. The guy, let's call him Op, he's 21, living with his parents because some recent life stuff happened. And then about a month ago, his dad crashes his car. Yeah, dad literally wrecks Op's car. So now Op needs to get to work. And his mom, she refuses to let him use their car. Like flat out no. So they end up sharing one car until Op's gets fixed. The parents do pay for the repairs, okay? They cover the whole thing. And Op thought, all right, it's done. They handled it. But here's the thing. His mom keeps making little comments here and there. Nothing huge at first, just little jabs. And Op's like, okay, whatever, it's fine. Then, about a week and a half later, she completely flips. She demands that Op pay her back, all of it. Every dollar they spent on fixing his car. And look, Op says, okay, I get that you're upset about losing money. That's fair. But here's the problem. I didn't cause the accident either. Dad did. So why am I paying? He tells her straight up, I'm sorry this affected you, but it doesn't change the fact that my car had to be fixed, and that's Dad's responsibility, not mine. You can imagine how that went over. She gets really, really mad. Starts going off about how unfair it is, how he's using them for money, just full rant mode. And the dad, his response to all of this, he just agrees with her, doesn't take responsibility, doesn't say, hey, maybe I should pay since I'm the one who crashed the car. Nope, just nods along with the mom. So Op repeats what he already said because, I mean, what else is he supposed to say? There's literally nothing else to add. He didn't do anything wrong, but his mom stays furious. For days. She's upset, she's cold, she's making comments. But here's the weird part. She never once mentions kicking him out. Not a hint, not a warning, nothing. So Op thinks, okay, she's mad, but it's not like they're gonna throw me out over this, right? I mean, that would be insane. Yeah, about that. So a couple days go by. Mom's still upset, but again, no mention of kicking him out. No warnings, nothing. Then one day he comes home from work or wherever he was and, I mean, you won't believe this. All of his stuff is outside, in boxes, literally on the curb, like trash. His whole life just sitting there on the street. He's shocked. Honestly, I'd be furious. He walks inside and immediately asks his parents what the heck is going on. And his mom, she says she's tired of letting someone so ungrateful live in her house. Ungrateful, because he wouldn't pay her back for a crash his dad caused. Then the dad chimes in, but he doesn't defend Op. He just repeats what Mom said, but in a kinder way. Like, oh honey, she's just upset. You know, that kind of thing, as if that makes it better. Op asks her to explain how he's been ungrateful, and her response, basically just, we raised you. That's it. That's her whole argument. They go back and forth for a bit. Both of them are mad. And then his mom drops the hammer. She tells him to leave the house, or else she's calling the police on him. Now, would the cops actually do anything? Who knows? Probably not. But at that point, Op is so confused and so angry that he just walks outside. What else can you do, right? He starts calling around, trying to find someone to stay with. Eventually, he crashes at a friend's house for the night. And here's where it gets even weirder. A couple days pass. Then his siblings start calling him. So obviously the parents, or really the mom, has been talking about this behind his back. His sister, she agrees with Mom. Says Op should have just paid the money back. End of story. His brother, he says it was unfair to kick him out. Which, yeah, obviously. But then he also says, you should have just paid the money back. Like both siblings kind of missing the point that Op didn't cause the accident, and his dad's been trying to call him too, but Op is just too mad to pick up. I mean, can you blame him? Your dad crashes your car, your mom throws you out, and now he wants to talk. But here's the part that really gets me. Op says he was planning to move out anyway, in 2 months. He was gonna rent an apartment with a friend once their lease ended. His parents knew that. They knew he was leaving soon, and they still did this. Why? Why not just wait 2 months? Why put his stuff on the curb like garbage? He's confused. He's hurt. He says, yeah, they raised him and took care of him, but that doesn't give them the right to do this out of nowhere. And honestly, he's right. He doesn't think he did anything wrong. And honestly, neither do I, all right. So the community definitely had thoughts. And honestly, they were pretty fired up. First comment, someone says, you're not responsible for the accident, so there's no way you're responsible for the money. And they add, look, it's fine if your parents want you out, but this is not the way to do it. Just find a place, live your life, and when they come crawling back, tell them to get lost. Oh, and warn your siblings because they're probably next. Op actually replied to that one. He says his siblings are older, sister in her late 20s, brother in his early 30s. They're already well off and out of the house. And he thinks that's another point of tension with his mom because, in her own words, he's the only one of her kids that's failing at life. Ouch. Another commenter says, not the a-hole. Your parents brought you into this world. They were obligated to raise you, feed you, clothe you. You don't owe them for that. And your dad wrecked your car, so the right thing is for him to fix it and pay for it. What they did was hurtful and just plain wrong. Then there's this one, my favorite, honestly. Someone says, my guess is if you'd wrecked their car, they'd expect you to pay for the damages. Ask them that. And packing your stuff and putting it outside was pretty dirty, but it is what it is. You plan to move out anyway, so just consider this an early exit. Couch surf for a few weeks. Let your mom's calls go to voicemail, but answer your dad. Then ask him if he'd expect you to pay if you wrecked his car. Depending on his answer, you'll know what to do. And finally, someone just straight up calls it. Your mom's delusional, your dad lacks integrity and doesn't know what accountability means. Screenshot this, send it to them, and tell them he's a coward. So yeah, the community was pretty clear. Op is not the a-hole. And the advice? Couch surf, save money, move out, and don't let the we raised you guilt trip work on you. Because once you open that door, they'll expect money forever. So after a little bit, Op finally calms down enough to answer one of his dad's calls. And his dad starts talking about how afraid he was that Op would never speak to them again. He says things weren't supposed to go that way, and he actually apologizes for Mom putting his stuff outside. Like, okay, that's something, right? But then he explains that the plan was to talk to Op first. Mom just got caught up in her emotions. That's the excuse. So Op asks him, why didn't you step in? And his dad says, and I can't believe this, he didn't want to upset her anymore. Coward. That's the only word for it. Op doesn't really accept the excuse, but he takes it just to move forward. Whatever. Then he gets another call, this time from his brother. And this is where it gets really ugly. Turns out, Mom's been trash-talking Op to his brother and sister. Like non-stop. She's comparing him to them, going on about how well they're doing. And remember, they're older by several years. So not exactly a fair comparison. Then she starts saying how much harder it's been to raise Op compared to them. And at one point, she insinuates that Op was a mistake. His brother says she didn't outright say it, but it was pretty clear. Op says hearing that honestly crushed his soul. And I get it. No one should have to hear that from their mom. He's feeling a mix of emotions, still mad about getting kicked out, but mostly just sad. Knowing she's saying all this behind his back makes him think she really means it. He doesn't understand why, but he guesses she has her reasons. He doesn't want to talk to her again, but part of him wants to know the truth. As for his dad, he's not sure. He's not the type to cut people off. But right now, he's just staying with his friend, trying to figure out what to do next. So Op decides to go back home and grab some important stuff. But he waits until he knows his mom's at work. Doesn't really want to see his dad either, but whatever. While he's there, he tells his dad what Mom said about him being a mistake, and his dad acts shocked. Like, oh wow, she said that. But then Op asks, has she ever said this before? And his dad admits, yeah, multiple times. She's told him that more than a few times. Wait, what? So Op asks, do you know why? And his dad just says, she has her reasons, but they're not your fault. That's it. No explanation. Nothing. Op tries to get more out of him, but his dad won't budge. Coward. So Op asks, is that how you feel about me too? And his dad says, no, I love you. But honestly, it hasn't really felt like that. Op wants to say that out loud, but he just says okay. Then he tells his dad he's cutting off Mom completely and him too for now, grabs his stuff and leaves. Fast forward a couple days. Op gets a bunch of angry messages from his sister. She's furious, says he's horrible for turning their brother against their mom, claims he made Mom cry and should be ashamed. Op has no idea what she's talking about. His brother wasn't against anyone, so he calls his brother directly. Turns out, Mom found out that Op knows what she said. Probably Dad told her. So she calls the brother and screams at him for going behind her back. And the brother, he finally snaps. Says she's the only one saying things behind people's backs, and she's being unreasonably mean to Op for no real reason. Then he tells her to get her priorities straight and go yell at Dad for causing the whole thing. And finally, he says not to call him again if all she's gonna do is yell. Honestly, good for him. Op decides he's cutting off Mom, and if his sister keeps attacking him, her too. So Op and his brother finally convince their dad to give a real answer, not just she has her reasons. They want the truth, and Dad finally talks. Turns out Mom was in her late 30s, early 40s when she got pregnant with Op, and they were done having kids. They were fine with just the older two, so this pregnancy, not planned, not wanted, and it was hard, really hard. Mom was in and out of the hospital the whole time, lots of stress. They had to worry about her life and the baby's life, and somewhere along the way, Mom started feeling resentment. Dad even said she started questioning if the pregnancy being so bad was a sign that God didn't want her to have Op. The birth was traumatic, really traumatic. She had to give birth prematurely because of complications, lost a lot of blood, more pain, more resentment, and when Op was born, she had trouble connecting with him. She said it didn't feel right. Then when he was a kid, he had health issues, added more stress. And eventually, Mom started believing that God had made some kind of mistake, that she was being punished. With him, let that sink in. Op says hearing that made him sad for his mom. He feels bad for what she went through, but at the same time, he didn't choose any of this. He didn't ask to be born, and to get blamed for it, that's not fair. They could have prevented the pregnancy if they really didn't want another kid. But Dad doesn't believe in contraception. So here we are. Dad also mentioned another reason. Mom never wanted Op to move back into the house. She'd been waiting for the house to be empty, and she was angry at the thought of him staying again. She thought his reason was stupid. An overreaction. What was his reason? An abusive ex tried to literally end him. He had to find a new place to stay fast. Everything was too expensive. Friends didn't live nearby, so his parents were the best choice. And his dad made fun of him for it, multiple times. Yeah. After hearing all this, Op doesn't really know what to feel. It didn't help. Honestly, it made him feel worse. He says he's stupid for looking for an answer in the first place. He's cutting off his mom, his dad, and his sister because she still won't listen to him. They're all still harassing him, and he just can't deal with it anymore. He says, obviously they've never wanted me around anyway. And then the kicker. His job let him go, not related to the situation, just another punch in the face. He doesn't know what he did to piss off the universe, but he's still staying with his friend, still planning to get an apartment in 2 months. Just now he also has to find another job. He's feeling absolutely terrible, just trying to get past it all. 5 months later, Mom still acts like he doesn't exist, took down his photos, calls her other two her only children. Dad reaches out, but Op keeps his distance. Sister came around a little, brothers closer than ever. New job, new apartment, still drained but better. If you made it this far, you clearly love these stories. Hit that like and subscribe. It genuinely helps me make more. And real quick, one guy beat a strict receipt policy by spending $280 instead of $20. Boss wasn't happy. Policy changed. Beautiful.